Okay, let's dive in. We've got this great collection of sources you sent over articles, videos, even some research bits, all focused on American accent training. It's pretty fascinating stuff.
It really is. Yeah, it's a good mix covering, the basics of how sounds are made, but also the rhythm, the flow, connected speech,
Right.
and then all the different tools and techniques you can actually use to practice.
And our goal here for this deep dive is really to sift through all of that and pull out the most important insights, the actionable stuff.
Exactly.
We want to give you listening that kind of efficient path to understanding how to approach this effectively.
And importantly, the sources really stress it's not about sounding like a perfect clone, is it? It's much more about clarity,
Yeah.
confidence.
Feeling more natural when you speak American English.
Precisely. Getting your message across clearly and feeling good about it.
So maybe let's start with the why. Why do people actually, put time into this? What's the motivation behind working on an American accent?
Well, the sources are pretty consistent on this. Speaking with a clear, standard American accent, it can really open doors communication-wise.
Okay.
And it seems to genuinely boost self-assurance for a lot of people. It's about reducing misunderstandings, feeling more comfortable in different situations.
And that seems to link directly to, why you might be tuning in, right? Maybe you've got a presentation or just daily chats.
Yeah, or personal goals, whatever it is, the common thread in all these materials is practice, consistent practice.
That word consistent comes up a lot.
It does. These strategies, they're like stepping stones, really. Building blocks toward feeling more confident with American English.
Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of sounds, there's this mindset thing, isn't there? A fundamental idea that pops up in several sources.
Yeah, absolutely. It's less about erasing how you already speak and more like adding a new tool to your toolbox, expanding your range.
So not aiming for some mythical perfect accent.
Yes. No, not at all. It's about being able to communicate clearly and confidently in that standard American style when you need or want to.
And building that skill, that range. You mentioned consistency.
Yes, it's hammered home everywhere. Don't think big, long sessions. Think maybe 10 minutes, but every day.
A structured routine.
Exactly. That steady, regular effort is what makes the real difference.
It's interesting. One source compares it to physical training, like going to the gym.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Because accent work is physical. You're building muscle memory, right?
Yeah.
Awareness in your tongue, your jaw, your lips, even your throat.
Right.
The exercises are designed to literally warm up and open up the physical space needed for these new sounds.
And it even mentioned you might feel a bit tired or even a slight ache sometimes in your face or throat.
Yeah. And that's presented as potentially a good sign initially.
Okay.
It could just mean you're activating muscles you don't usually use in your native way of speaking, waking them up.
A mouth workout, basically.
Huh, yeah, pretty much. Okay, so let's get into the sounds themselves. Vowels seem really crucial for American English.
They do stand out, don't they? That distinct, often quite elongated quality.
Definitely. And there are quite a few, maybe 16 or so. Depends a bit on the specific dialect and who's counting.
Which can be tricky if your own language has fewer vowel sounds.
Exactly. That's where you get sounds merging or just not sounding distinct enough for American English listeners.
The sources really zoom in on a couple of challenging ones, like the A in fantastic happy cat.
Ah, the A sound, yes. One source has this brilliant description, calls it in your face.
In your face.
Yeah, and says it resonates really high up, almost in the northern hemisphere of your head, like nose or forehead area.
Wow, okay.
And they suggest when you practice, it should feel maybe a little ridiculous or weird at first because you're lifting it up, not letting it sit low in the throat.
Northern hemisphere for a vowel. I like that. It's memorable. What about the O sound in words like obligated, call, lot, options?
Right, the toe sound. Equally vivid descriptions there. It's described as big, deep.
Okay.
Almost like you're starting to throw up an A, is how one put it. The key thing seems to be opening your mouth wide, but from the back.
From the back.
Yeah, like picturing a snake opening its jaws wide. You should feel cool air in your throat. The opposite of sort of closing it down.
These descriptions really make it feel physical, tangible. So, okay, you understand the feeling. How do you practice?
Well, several methods come up. One basic one is exaggerated vowel stretching. Really holding those sounds, or cycling through them and paying attention, maybe using a mirror, to what your lips and tongue are actually doing. Exaggerating helps you feel the nuances.
And minimal pairs seem vital too, practicing words that are almost the same, like sheep and ship.
Yes. Or wish and which, year and ear. Drilling those pairs helps distinguish the sounds, both for listening and speaking. Start slow, focus on the difference.
Right.
The sources really point out how much meaning can change with just one subtle vowel shift.
And something that struck me, how sounds we call short vowels, like the A in cat or the to in lot, aren't actually quick sounds in American English.
That's a really important point. The labels can be misleading.
Yeah.
They need duration.
Yeah.
And for those tricky ones, like A and toe, one technique is using scales, practicing them on different pitches.
Scales, like singing.
Sort of.
Oh, okay.
It helps make sure you can produce the sound correctly no matter your emotional state or, how high or low you're speaking naturally. Makes the sound more reliable.
Okay, that makes sense. Right, let's shift gears. Consonants. They add the clarity, the definition.
Absolutely. They shape the words. And again, it's about using lip and tongue muscles in very specific, sometimes quite subtle ways for American English.
A basic concept here seems to be voiced versus voiceless sounds.
Right. Simple distinction, really.
Yeah.
Are your vocal cords vibrating or not?
How do you tell?
The sources suggest the tap test. Put your fingers gently on your throat. Say B, then P. D, then T. Or the V in this versus think.
Ah, you feel the buzz for the voiced ones. B, D, this.
Exactly. No buzz for PT, think. It's a fundamental difference.
And then there are those consonants that often, trip people up. The ones needing specific tongue positions, like RLL, TH.
Yeah, those big three. For the American R, the tongue curls back a bit, but crucially, doesn't touch the roof of the mouth. The back of the tongue does the work.
Okay.
For L, the tip of the tongue touches right behind the top teeth. And for 3, the tongue tip goes lightly between the teeth and you blow air.
The sources also highlighted the sun sound, that sort of schwa plus R or stressed R sound. One description called it extremely strange and tight.
It is a weird one. It feels quite tense, almost clenched in the mouth and throat. But you still need airflow, which feels kind of counterintuitive.
Right.
It really can feel like a workout. And again, that mention of maybe slight initial discomfort comes up, suggesting you're engaging the right muscles.
And if you relax too much,
You might end up sounding more British R-like, where it's less constricted.
it's just amazing how physical these sounds are. And beyond just making them right, the sources talk about the feel of consonants.
Yeah, their qualities, like the hissies, the buzzy M, those bouncy P or B, sounds plosives.
Mm-hmm.
And even the ill sound isn't just one thing. There's a spectrum, like a heavier dark L versus a lighter one, depending on where it is in a word.
And knowing these qualities helps you use them, right, for effect.
Definitely. For emphasis, really hammering home a point. Or for rhythm, keeping the speech moving. They give examples like drawn out Z and oozy
Busy
do.
kick, yeah. Or the sharp T's in 50.
Right. Or the bouncy plosives in a word like expenditure. Using the consonants actively.
Okay, so we've got the building blocks, vowels, consonants. But spoken American English isn't just sounds in a row. There's a flow, a music to it.
Yes, this is where it all comes together. Rhythm, stress, intonation, and how sounds link up between words. That's huge.
Stress seems foundational. Both words stress which syllable gets the punch.
Right, like R chord versus rechord.
Exactly. And sentence stress, which words get emphasized in a sentence to convey meaning. It's vital for rhythm and being understood.
And the advice is often to practice by marking the stress, maybe even exaggerating it at first. It could really make you sound more confident.
And then intonation, the melody of speech.
Yeah, the rise and fall. Like rising pitch often signals a yes-no question versus a falling pitch for statements or information questions like who, what, where. Mimicking native speakers helps you catch those patterns.
In linking, this feels like a really key part of sounding natural, how words connect.
Oh, absolutely. Spoken English isn't like beads on a string. It flows. Things like I'm going to becoming I'm gonna.
Or do you want to smoothing into do you wanna?
Exactly. It makes the rhythm smoother, improves fluency. The sources point out really specific examples too.
Like the tet changing sound.
Yes. How it can become a quick, it's not like how an alveolar stop or flap when it's between vowels or linking words like in, quarter, or out of.
Out of, yeah, I hear it.
Or linking from a deed sound into an L or N, where the sounds kind of blend smoothly like I'd like.
I'd like, yeah, it flows.
These tiny changes, they feel like magic, as one source put it, for sounding more fluent.
And informal contractions are part of this too, right? Hafta, I'd.
Oh, they're everywhere. Hafta for have to, I'd for I would or I had.
Yeah.
Using them isn't lazy. It's just how conversational American English works.
It helps the rhythm.
Totally. And they often involve those little sound changes we talk about, like by becoming F before to, or vowels getting reduced or softened.
And lastly, on this flow section, the sources remind us about spelling, English spelling. Now, it doesn't always help pronunciation.
Understatement of the year. Yeah, they mention things like vowels getting kind of killed or changed before an R or L sound, or silent letters.
So what's the strategy?
One good tip is to group words by how they're pronounced, not just how they're spelled. Think of O-U-G-H.
Oh, yeah. Thought, though, through, poff, enough. All different sounds.
Exactly. Or words ending in UE like unique, avenue, rescue. Using a dictionary for pronunciation or grouping words by sound pattern can really help.
Okay, so there's a lot to potentially work on. Sounds, stress, linking. How do you actually practice all this effectively? What do the sources suggest?
They offer a lot of practical stuff. Minimal pairs drills are a classic. Repeating pairs like bat pat or leave.
Good for training the ear, too, not just the mouth.
Definitely. And shadowing is another big recommendation.
That's where you listen and repeat immediately.
Yep. Find some American English audio you like, TV, podcasts, anything. Listen closely and just repeat right after the speaker. Try to match everything. Rhythm, intonation, sounds.
Trains ear and tongue together.
Exactly. And maybe the most powerful tool mentioned is recording yourself.
Ah, the dreaded self-recording.
Yeah. Nobody loves hearing their own voice at first. But recording yourself speaking a passage, then listening back and comparing it to a native speaker, it's incredibly revealing.
You spot things you just don't notice while you're speaking.
Precisely. Vowel clarity issues, weird intonation patterns, mislinking. It all becomes clearer.
And technology offers a lot now, too, right? AI apps.
Big time. Apps like ELS Say Speak get mentioned. They use AI to analyze your pronunciation really deeply. Individual sounds, stress, intonation.
Our feedback.
Yeah. Personalized feedback and exercises. Structured lessons, listening checks, even conversation practice with AI bots.
What are the pros and cons there, according to the sources?
Well, pros are definitely the systematic approach, the detailed feedback, and they can be great for specific, tricky sounds like, say, the schwa.
Yeah.
Cons. Sometimes the amount of information can feel overwhelming, and the algorithms can occasionally be a bit too rigid.
Like too textbook.
Yeah, especially with intonation, maybe not capturing all the natural human variation. They're often based on a very standard, idealized accent.
Are there other tech options?
Sure, some apps combine AI feedback with video lessons from actual human coaches. Others let you visually compare your sound wave to a native speaker's. And just using language learning platforms that use authentic video, like Fluent with its interactive captions, lets you practice with real-world speech and context.
And then there's the human element, actual tutors or coaches.
Right. For personalized feedback tailored to your specific goals, maybe business English, interview prep, just general fluency and confidence, a human coach specializing in accent training can be invaluable.
Many offer trial sessions too, yeah?
They often do, so you can find someone you connect with.
Okay, so lots of tools, lots of techniques. Let's bring it back to you, the listener, the learner. You came here wanting to get insights, maybe find those aha moments.
Hopefully this deep dive has sparked a few. The main thing now is probably not to feel swamped by it all.
Right. Don't try to fix everything at once. Pick one or two things, maybe a specific vowel sound or listening for sentence stress.
And commit to that consistent practice we talked about, even just that 10 minutes a day.
Because really, improving pronunciation, working on your accent, it's not just about the sounds themselves, is it?
No, it goes deeper. It's about clarity, definitely. But it's also massively about confidence and just feeling more, well, natural and comfortable when you're communicating.
And all these exercises, these tools, they're designed to bridge that gap, right, between learning about it and actually using it in real life.
Exactly. Preparing you for those daily chats, the big presentations, the job interviews, whatever your personal reason is for wanting to refine this skill.
So we've covered a lot today. The mindset shift, individual sounds, those tricky vowels and consonants.
The whole musicality piece. Stress, intonation, linking.
And then a whole range of practice strategies and tools from old school drills to cutting edge AI.
It's definitely a journey, not an overnight fix. It takes consistent, focused effort. But even small daily practice adds up significantly over time.
So maybe a final thought to leave you with. Think about those really small, almost invisible shifts we talked about. That tiny tongue movement changing I like to flow into I'd like.
We're finding that specific spot that northern hemisphere plays for the A sound, making it ring differently.
These subtle changes hold so much power, don't they? For making your speech clearer, more connected, more confident.
So the question for you is, what subtle sound, or maybe linking pattern, will you focus on finding and practicing today?